Welcome. Today we are explaining how prophetic messages were written. Then we identify the similarities between the traditional African and the Old Testament prophets. And then we state ways in which a prophecy is practiced in the churches today. So let's explain how prophetic messages were written. Number one, they were originally written as scrolls or stone tablets. Number two, the messages were later translated by inspired writers. Some prophets, like Isaiah, wrote the message themselves, while prophets such as Jeremiah dictated their messages to the scribes. Number five, God instructed some prophets on what to write. Some prophetic messages were preserved and passed through oral traditions by the followers. Sometimes the prophet's disciples collected the witnesses and put them down in prose form. And then lastly, some prophets used scribes, like Jeremiah dictated to Banak as he wrote. Secondly, we are going to look to identify the similarities between the traditional African prophets and the Old Testament prophets. So how are they similar? So you should start with both. So number one, both were expected to obey God. Both, number two, both were consulted to reveal God's will to people. Both predicted the future events. Both were called by God to pass message to people. Both were obedient to God. Both traditional African and Old Testament prophets performed the work of diviners and medicine men. Number seven, both received divine calling from God. That is, they were both called by God. Both had a personal relationship with God. In both, most of them did not receive formal training. Number 10, both were consulted by the prophet. Both were consulted by the people during a crisis. Both stood up against oppression and championed the liberty of the people. And lastly, both were expected to obey God's call. We can also add that they both received their prophecies through visions or dreams. So now we are going to state the ways in which prophecy is practiced in the churches today. Number one, prophecy is practiced by pastors and priests spreading the gospel in the church. So by the pastors and the priests spreading the gospel in the church, they practice prophecy. Number two, it is also practiced by the pastors and the priests telling people that God will punish those who disobey Him. And number three, through telling people that there is life after death. So, through pastors and priests telling the people that there is life after death. By foretelling future events, by also condemning social injustice in the society, by living exemplary lives, or rather, you can just say by acting as role models to others. And lastly, guiding and counseling leaders on the covenant way of life. Did you understand? Kindly let me know in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for subscribing and listening to me. God bless you.